Hey everybody, this is JD Gaming back with a special opening for you guys today from the OCG, a set we're about to get over here in just a couple days. And this set is Structure Deck Powercode Link. This in particular is the Korean special set version of this. Essentially, to break it down, kind of like how we don't have jump promos in all territories of the TCG, Korea doesn't get jump promos as well, even though it's part of the OCG, like in Japan. And so they'll celebrate, special releases of structure decks and other products like this, where we get Summon Sorceress, and if we kind of flip this over to the back, 𝗖𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, which is something that hasn't even been announced for the TCG for Jump or any other means quite yet. So pretty excited to open this up. Overall, it looks pretty similar to the deck that we get in the TCG otherwise, but as we go through the individual cards, we'll see some things that have been changed, and so, those are some differences. Love it or hate it, that's what happens, and I thought it'd be interesting to go through those changes, and we could kind of discuss what's up with that. This set has been a long time in the making. OCG got this thing. Japan got this in December of 2017, so December last year, and then Korea got this in March. Actually March 14th on Pi Day, and then TCG is going to get this finally, over in the West in August. So this is a lot later, and I have never opened up a special set of this before, so we're gonna go through and just savor this. First up, we have our handy dandy rule book for the new Master Rule, and very nicely themed for the Link era. We haven't had a print version of these rule books in a while because we get those little dual guides, it seems, in the TCG. So very nice to see one of these things, even though it's all in Korean, and it'd take me like 50 times as long to read this thing as it would in something for English. But I did notice this pretty interesting thing here. So this here basically says how you speed duel. And so if you look here, the field is pretty much just like Duel Links. And considering we have the real life Duel Links speed duel products coming out in the TCG sometime soon, this is pretty interesting to see that the OCG is actually pushing for this with print materials with their structure deck. So very excited to see how that format takes off over in the TCG. Next up, it looks like we have, just like what we normally do over in the TCG, this mat, this paper play mat, and looking at it, I'll do it in halves because, it's way too hard to go through this. So we have some of the new monsters here. Most of them are Link monsters. That Storm Cipher, I believe is his name, is not a Link monster. But we have him. We have Segmental Dragons, not a Link monster, over on the right. But overall, pretty cool. Matt does have the 2 extra monster zones. And if we flip it over, this is pretty much what we get in the TCG as well, in a very one-to-one way. So we have, your deck list. You have, this is what you do with this stuff. Spam tokens and bam. And then, oh, you don't get that card. But, you don't know that yet. And then we have all this stuff over here. Like, buy more cards. In Korea, it's so much cheaper, which is why I really love using these guys as proxies for playing the game, because if you're not playing in events like I am, like just why bother, So yeah, we have that thing. But wait, there's more. We also get these beautiful sleeves with Powercode Talker on the back, and I believe based on the side, just how big this looks, I think this is 70 count, which is pretty epic. That gives us enough for the main and extra deck and a side deck potentially. Because you're probably playing with 40 cards plus 15 extra plus 15 side. If you play more than the 40 cards, then I guess it's a bit of an issue, but it'll at least have enough sleeves to fill up the entire deck, which is quite nice. So I definitely like this. If it's anything like the other Korean sleeves I've seen, they're okay. You could put these in double sleeves and use them for your extra deck, no problem. You could use them in your main deck for, maybe an event or something, if you want to be seen in that type of a way. But, feel free to take that to locals or whatever. That's a pretty cool setup right there. Now we'll go through the deck itself, looking at each of the individual cards here, and yeah, we'll just take a look at the very shiny foil. Like, look at this prismatic secret rare version of Summon Sorceress. I said this before on my channel, but it's pretty sparse when I say it. It's kind of random, but I'll say it again for this type of an opening. I don't play in competitive events right now or anything that requires me to play English TCG cards, and since I am of Korean descent, I'll honestly probably use this as a proxy for this card because I have the jump, but man, this card just looks so much nicer. So that's Summon Sorceress for us, of course, allowed in North America, but not so much anywhere else right now. Then we have 𝗖𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, which is another jump promo that we never even got over in the TCG, never got announced or anything. It is a little more restrictive from what I remember, and by the time it comes out, I don't know how good it'll be. It'll probably end up becoming like a low rarity import unless it ends up becoming something really good based on just like how people are able to use it. Maybe it ends up becoming broken down the line, but basically it has this weird ability where it kind of reuses Link monsters, breaks apart Link ratings. It reminded me of Diffusion is what it did. So I'll put that text on here. I may be totally wrong, just based off of the first impression I got of the card. It's an interesting pick, but I'm not certain. Then we have, of course, the boss monster of the set, Powercode Talker. This guy's a generic Link 3. You do need 3 monsters, so you can't climb into it or anything, but still very easy to do because you don't need to have like different monster names or anything. You can use 3 tokens of the same name, for example. And this guy is basically, you see the arrows, and he has 2 abilities. So you can go and take one of your opponent's monsters, target it, it loses its effects for the turn, so that's pretty good, and that's a reason in and of itself to play it in decks that can support this thing. And then on top of that, we have a second ability where you contribute, I believe, a monster it's pointing to, and then that'll let you go and reduce your, or maybe it's just double this guy's attack, something like that. He gets over things. He's very reminiscent of Utopia the Lightning, but he's 1 extra monster zone slot as opposed to, or extra deck slot as opposed to 2. And on top of that, he's just a generically good Link monster, where now you can point diagonally down this way, or just place him kind of like a proxy dragon or a nightmare goblin, and he'll have these sideways arrows. So very interesting boss monster. And then some monsters, I honestly have no abilities or ideas of their abilities, but this is Segmental Dragon, so you'll see that card text on the right. So this guy's one of the guys featured on the mat. And then on top of that, we have this seahorse thing. I think it's a pun or something. It's called 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗧𝗪. And a lot of these Cyberse monsters obviously have some sort of like computer lingo with them, so maybe something with that, but I'm not exactly certain. But we have that guy here. And then we have, this is Flame Buffalo. I believe this guy is a draw 2 effect, which is pretty interesting for the Cyberse theme. And then we have Lady Debugger, which I'm actually surprised this thing was a foil. I guess when we first got the image of this thing, since it ends up becoming just a super rare, I just thought it was a common or something in the new deck. But in the OCG, what they typically do for new decks is every new card is going to be a foil in some capacity. So it's either going to be a foil like an ultra or a super, or as we'll get to with our next card here, this is Storm Cipher. And you could see it has this gorgeous prismatic parallel rare foil on it. On the entire card, very much like the old Duelist League cards. I remember getting like a Hobby League MST back in the day for actually attending a locals event, and this is very reminiscent of that. So that's a very cool effect on these cards. We have Cyberse Gadget. This guy, I remember, is very similar to Debris Dragon in tandem with Dandelion in that it's able to revive cards and then spawn tokens when it hits the graveyard. So pretty interesting card. This might see some play down the line, I would figure. It's got some of the more competitive potential, and ooh, this one I'm kind of surprised with. I wasn't aware that old cards got foil treatments like this, but maybe because Grinder Golem's so good, they decided, yeah, let's make this the special reprint of this. I was not expecting a reprint card to have a foil finish, but hey, we have Grinder Golem here, so maybe if I do shenanigans with it at 1, I'll use that copy. Then we have I believe it's a new trap. This is called Packet Link, and packets obviously have something to do with computers. I am not a geek in that direction, so I have no clue what that is. Maybe it's like a data set or something. I have no clue. So I'm not gonna embarrass myself any further, you know, cause any cringe, but hey, that looks pretty, and that's all I know about that. Then we got the last 2 cards that are absolutely new, and these are the reasons I wanted this deck. So this is Traffic Ghost. As you can see, it has no effect, just requires 3 monsters to summon, and it points towards you in all directions. So again, you can't climb into him unless you want to waste Link ratings, but you are able to go ahead and just open up all your zones. So if you have like Scapegoat tokens or can generate a bunch of free monsters, doesn't care what those guys are, so you're able to go ahead and play this in pretty much anything, which is very nice. And even better, I think a step above, although this guy doesn't have 1800 attack like Traffic Ghost, the 1200 attack Landfall Linkus is very nice in that it's just a generic diagonal arrow Link monster. So now if you don't have multiple attributes of the same kind in your deck, you don't have to worry about, you know, running with those guys. Yeah, you don't get the power boost, you don't get the recycling, but you do get a Link monster no matter what. You're just gonna get 2 arrows for any 2 monsters, even if they're tokens. So this is pretty cool, and it's a Cyberse, so it fits nicely with the idea of going and climbing with this card as well. And then I'll kind of flip through these guys here since they are, you know, more reprints. We have like the Acorn Dongle guy. I have no idea what this is. It says Garbage Collector, so yeah, I guess that's what he's doing. It looks like he's collecting rupees or maybe even gems from Duel Links. We got what is this? Anti-Elan? I have no clue what this guy is. Maybe he's new-ish? I'm actually not sure. Jurigato is an interesting reprint. This guy hit a pretty high price point when Lair of Darkness came out, so pretty interesting. Back in the day, this got hype as well, I remember. We got Tetherwolf, we got 2 copies of Reborn Tengu, so it's kind of nice to see that. I think OCG might still have this at 2, I'm not quite certain. And then we have Skullmeister, which we got as a super rare print, along with Solemn Strike in the Code of the Duelist Special Edition. Then we have this card, so I don't know if this is in the TCG or not, because at the time of recording this video, I haven't seen the spoiler list in English, so I'm not certain if this card is going to be in here or not. If it is, they're probably bringing it back from the ban list. If not, they're probably going to switch it out and just put something else in here, which I think is more likely. Honestly, this thing's not busted anymore, but I remember this card being just like very odd in terms of artwork when I first pulled it, or actually my brother first pulled it in Magician's Force. I do remember this card. And then we have Goblinberg. This thing, I want a foil version of this. Maybe I should just pick up a star foil or something, but I don't know. Holding out until they give us like a super or some other upgrade. Then we have Phantom Skyblaster. This guy's a nice reprint. Hope they keep this in because this thing is nuts. We have Gen X Ally Birdman, Magical Merchant back from the GOAT days, Cosmic Compass, which I guess you could still play in Cyber Dragons, but I don't know. I'm thinking of taking Cyber Dragons more in the direction of fusion summoning spam because it's very easy to push for an OTK with Zygar along with the Chimera Tech Rampart. Or not Rampart, Rampage Dragon. But yeah, this thing's still interesting, so we'll take a look at that. Droll and Lockbird. This thing I know was not included in the TCG version, so unfortunate. Maybe they're going to do something on the list with this thing. I'm not certain, but it's a very powerful card, honestly. Just the ability to shut down your opponent for the entire turn of any deck access, it's crippling. And I don't know, it's an interesting card. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. Then we have, what is this? Cybernet, what is it? Cybernet Storm. Cynet Storm, I think they call it in TCG, but I'm not certain. Then we have Night Beam, Offerings to the Doomed, which got an art change into a little less of a religious death offering. Then we have Forbidden Chalice. So this is a funny card in artwork, because my brother pointed out, the Chalice can increase or decrease your attack based on your health and negate your effects. That makes sense. But then if you look at Lance, that's a weapon, so wouldn't it increase attack? So he always said, oh, these cards' artworks are backwards. And I was like, well, shoot, yeah, they kind of are backwards, and I have no idea why. But there's that. We have Scapegoat, because, you know, this card is just one of the most busted things you could throw in for cheap in a deck like this, so gotta do that. Swords of Revealing Light, kind of fun seeing that card again. I think the last time we saw that was in like a Yugi deck of some kind, one of those legendary decks. Then we have Reasoning, 1-for-1, and then Set Rotation's a nice reprint as well. Then for the traps we have, I think this is Wild Cyclone. This is the thing where like you kill it if it's face down and then it kills something in revenge, and then it's pretty much a Dust Tornado otherwise. And then we have Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, Blazing Mirror Force, filling in the continuing role of just putting in a common Mirror Force variant in all these decks. And the cool thing, I'm eventually probably going to include this in some sort of fun facts video or something, but all the Mirror Forces actually have an additional line of text that's kind of a title for the OCG print. So this is called Fire Force, and this is probably something along the lines of like blazing, fiery, lit. I have no clue exactly what it is. I'd have to think about what this means since it's not like colloquial Korean language. But like, for example, Mirror Force is like Holy Barrier Mirror Force. So like, you know, when I put that divine symbol on there in last week's episode of 4 Fun Facts, that's not a joke. Like that's actually what they call that thing. So interesting fun fact about the Mirror Forces. Then we have Trap Stun. I remember this from the 5Ds days, good times. Same with Safe Zone. This thing was great with, you know, Naturia Beast. How this card has fallen. Like, this is such a sought after card when it was a super. It got an ultra print in Battles of, what was it? The Battle Pack, War of the Giants, which was the second set. Call the Haunted, which, you know, got an art change because no crosses, whatever, but that's not as much of a fun one. Reckless Greed, which is fun in Salt and Halt. And then Debunk. Now, I remember back before Solemn Strike, this card was absolutely nuts because this was how you dealt with Max C, Effect Failure. It's how you dealt with grave effects like, I don't know, were you able to stop the Dark World monster with this? I don't know, maybe Dangers nowadays. But with Solemn Strike, you know, this card's kind of power crept. It's almost out of necessity where decks these days have to be able to do a lot more with individual cards, so that's why they ended up doing that. But kind of nice to see that card back here. And I guess that's pretty much it, but I'll kind of, you know, put out some of the good ones that I like, you know, just back over here. Let me know down below what your favorite cards from this set are, if you're excited to build with them, if you're just happy that they finally gave you reprints of something, because I think this is a pretty interesting set. I'm curious to see exactly what ends up missing from here. I pointed out what I did know, but yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see. But yeah, this is kind of what an OCG set looks like, so now you have a little taste of that. So thanks guys, this is JD Gaming. Hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I'll see you guys next time. That's the end of this video, but there's plenty more where it came from. I invite you to explore the playlists on screen to see what else I have to offer, and if you really liked what you saw today, consider subscribing to JD Gaming for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Thanks guys, this is JD Gaming, hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I'll see you guys next time.